And that leads us right into our digital dive right now. In the wake of this new spending bill, what becomes of the border wall? Well, an Air Force veteran launched a GoFundMe page to raise $1 billion for the border wall. And social media, as you can imagine, all a buzz about this. People are donating. In just 3 days, that page raised about $2.5 million. It's a lot of money, far short of the billion, but still a lot of cash. People are talking about it. Dan says, don't worry, Donald will take good care of everyone's donations. He's an honest, moral person. I think he's referring to the Trump Foundation troubles there. Let's see, what else do we have? David said people have donated over $2 million to a GoFundMe border wall. On an unrelated note, there were 120,000 homeless veterans in the U.S. So David thinks that we should be putting that money somewhere else. Patty likes it. She says this is 100% legit. Brian Colfage is a triple amputee Air Force veteran who lost both legs and his right hand while serving Iraq. He is raising this money to build the wall. She's sharing a link with the people who follow her on social media. Controversial issue when you're talking about the wall. We want to know what you think about it. Use the hashtag Sunrisers or comment on our Facebook page.
Yeah, a lot of money initially funded on this. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep up that kind of pace because, like you say, he wants $1 billion. That would have to be the largest GoFundMe ever, don't you think?
Easily. Yeah. Easily it would have to. We'll have to get the stats on that. But $1 billion, that's a lot of money.
It sure is.